Welcome to my base dueling guide. Um, Today I'm gonna kind of teach you how to duel on base. Just some of the good strategies that have been developed. And kind of the meta. First, let's just go over the spawn points. You can spawn in this little corner on all of the quadrants. If you don't know what spawn manipulation is, then I should have a video on that. But just a refresher, this is where all the spawn points are, so I'm gonna go show them all off. Again, like I said, they're just little crevices. I think what side we're on F side. Here we go. And then if we go over here, right, there you go. Now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about the general gameplay of base. Base really centers around the attack defense structure more than many other maps because you just get so rewarded for winning the mid fight. The mid fight takes place right here, um, typically. Sometimes the opponent will go this way and the mid fight will take place in this little corridor, um, right? Maybe occasionally like here, but kind of have to kind of prepare for that. But typically, you'll be here, the opponent will be there, or the opponent will be there. Um, there's kind of two places to defend, but there's a lot of complications with this one right here. This is easily the most labbed map, I should say as well. Maybe I'll also just set my settings to low. Perfect. Um, so players are either going to come from here, here, um, there, but only if that's already either down or they wall climb, and then here. So really just these three places. Let's start with the kind of the best rotation. Probably would have to be this rotation here. So let's say you're respawning. Then the best thing to do probably is to walk up here and go like this. After this, you can walk behind this wall, so there's almost no risk. You will have kind of a worse mid fight. This is not as good of a position as being there or here. But it is the safest way to get to the mid fight. It's also one of the fastest. Typically, you're going to spawn manipulate to where they spawn over here, so they'll typically go like that. But this is probably kind of one of the better ways because you're just exposed for so little time. Yeah, I mean, yes, it is a lot of time you're still exposed, but compared to the other options, it's a lot less. The other option is going leftwards here. This is a lot riskier, um, because you still have to cross this little path here, which is still pretty open, right? It's a little harder to get shot there, but yeah. Then you can kind of walk behind this little barrel here, or this. I think on this side it's actually frontwards. Yeah, I really never liked these small changes that the developers thought didn't really matter, but they do matter a lot. I think this is actually a slightly worse position. Oh no, slightly better because uh, you can kind of cover this side better, but um, and then the other very standard rotation that I think I'm kind of experimenting with now, but I think it's pretty good so far. You got this little rotation. You're exposed for what seems like a long time, but it's kind of harder to shoot than you'd think because of the way you might position yourself, which we'll get into now. You can position yourself like right here, in the middle of this doorway, to try and cover all the different options. There, there, there. That's a terrible idea. That really is a terrible idea, though, because you're just it's kind of easy to shoot you when you're just standing here, right? Um, Especially kind of like, look at this, like there's not much strafing room. So typically what you'll do is you'll have to sacrifice one of them to get better safety. You can go for kind of a hard, there's kind of three different positions. You can lock on this one, lock on this one, lock on both of these, And it's kind of hard to lock on all of them at once without exposing yourself extremely. This is why it's kind of hard to cover this one, because any stepping back, and you'll see that it's kind of really hard to shoot this area. You have to kind of be pushed forward. There's also this, too. I didn't really think about this much till here, but actually, yeah, I've definitely done this before. You can kind of position yourself here to cover going up the ramp. Um, but yeah, it's pretty easy to defend this one. There isn't actually much room to shoot the opponent, but they're gonna go here, so you can kind of prepare, or they might step back and go here just to force you to respect them. And then the other option is just a bad one, but technically, I guess this does exist. This is really bad though because you're just obviously exposing yourself for a long time. This is really good though to get to mid fast. So if you both trade, you're gonna go and just jump over this little thing here and just get to mid fast. You gotta be prepared to shoot the guy going here. Um, and then let's go over some of the wall climbing rotations. Um, so first off, you got this little path here. I have no idea why you'd ever do that, actually. Um, it's a little more tricky than you'd think. You'd have to go like this, and then you could go like this, but then you're obviously extremely exposed. There's not really good wall jump spots, except for this one. One's really good wall jumping spot, actually. Um, right here, you could do this, or you could do this. You have to have this open, obviously. It's not hard to open it, but if you do, the opponent's going to know what you're doing. Or, it makes the same noise as the door opening, but they're obviously going to notice when the door opens. So they're just going to know that it's here, right? Um, the advantages to this one, and also this one, is it just gets you to the mid-fight, like, kind of at a harder to challenge place. Like, you have all this distance to cover. This is a little bit harder to challenge once you get through, right? Of course, getting through is still difficult on those routes. They're all kind of problematic, but that's what kind of makes base good. It's pretty fun to defend on base, and that's kind of why I think a lot of people like it, because it's just you get rewarded for winning, which is why I like it for sure. Then maybe talk about some of the weapon strategies on this map. I'm not the most keen. Generally, if the opponent's playing the Thunderbow, they actually kind of are in a good range to like be able to hit you while in the attack defend stage. So, this is really fast. Typically you're gonna have to leave this open. Oh, I forgot to talk about the other way of covering these. The other ways. I forgot there is more than one way to attack defend. Obviously. And I'm not the greatest. You can attack defend by opening this gate and then kind of call out one of the two sides. It's not as good. Or you can kind of use this as a way to like cover all the angles but be vulnerable as well. It might be kind of specific to hit here, but you can hit them while going here. So, yeah. Then this path here, you can kind of see how you can cover it because it's really open, especially trying to go here is just a terrible idea now. And then the other way to cover this is by here. One problem with this side is that you can't spawn manipulate to constantly get this back. You have to go here and try and kill them all the way back here. You're not exactly going to be doing that. Or I guess you could kill them and then quickly walk back. But you're still going to be getting it only every other time with that. So what you're going to do is you have to learn kind of both of these. You can cover this, though. You won't be able to as easily cover that because that's in the way. I wonder Yeah, same on this side. I guess I'll check it out. But that box in the way kind of ruins this a bit. I think here it's a lot less egregious. Yeah, it's a lot less egregious here. You can shoot them while they're there and there. But of course, the big problem with defending like this is that you don't actually get a second chance to shoot them here because they can walk behind this wall and then get to the mid fight like that. So you're generally going to want to avoid defending like this. It's just not the greatest way to defend, especially if they go this way, right? If they go from here to here, you're going to have a bad time. You need to be able to quickly react. At that point, you know, to kind of guard behind this, you could go like this, but then now all of a sudden, you're not covering this. It's just not the greatest defense. So how are you gonna play out this mid fight? This mid fight's kind of boring. You kind of go like this, a lot. It's not the greatest mid fight in the world. Um, but it can be broken by a grenade like that, or you could throw it off the wall, hit down there. You can throw a grenade at the opponent and then have that. But the mid fight's kind of boring because it just over centralizes around these two boxes, and just calling out which way your opponent's going to go. There are other mid fights you can have by being more aggressive. So let's say, you know, you get a kill on the opponent, you wait for them to be able to respawn, and then you can try and push, actually. You can try and push, and what oftentimes that'll do is give you this really weird mid fight around here. I only really ever play this, I think, against Nisk, because oftentimes he'll find his way into a position like this. You could also, I guess, actually what you could do is you could do, you know, you could kill someone, and then once their spawn timer is off, you can go like here, and then you'll be in this really aggressive position. This mid fight is kind of weird. I normally play it from this side because I'm normally on the defending, but it kind of is a game of chicken of who's gonna approach first because you can't cover both sides at once. As you can see, I just can't. So because of that, you have to like actually one person can theoretically approach, right? It's a and then yeah, that kind of is how it goes. If you approach like this side, your goal is to either get behind this box or get behind this box, and then either push forward even more or play the position from here. This is a pretty good position to play it from. Typically, the aggressor is forced to be on this side, so it actually kind of works out in the defenders or in the, you know, I guess the attacker since he's the defender, but you can't do this twice in a row because it just simply takes too long to go from here to there. But yeah, that's that. I don't really know great turret spots. Oh, I forgot to talk about the other side. The other side of this is that you can also approach here, go to this box, and then try and win a literal uphill battle. This isn't that great. Neither of these approaches are too consistent, which is why it's a game of chicken, right? You can also try and go for a little grenade like that. Yeah, it's not the greatest place to fight, but yeah. And then some turret spots. You could always put like a turret down this hall to kind of catch when your opponent is going to go through here, and then there's a turret there forced to shoot it. It's a little hard though to get into that position and then go back to covering there, right? So it's a little difficult. Really, this map kind of is the worst when it comes to turrets. Another idea is to put your turret there and like as soon as you hear it lock on, be ready to start shooting something. Especially because this kind of really ruins the approach from, you know, here. You can either go this way, by the way, or this way around. This really ruins this approach, right? Because now there's a turret here. So you can place a turret there. Um, and then that's a lot of what happens. So some other cheese you can do, like putting a turret like on one of these sides, particularly these sides, because that's where you're gonna spawn. Obviously, your opponent's gonna destroy it, and then the other strat is you can put it on one of these corridors. If the opponent shoots it, then you know which side they're on. The bigger problem, you know, you can use this kind of cover multiple things because if your opponent's going up this way, they're probably just gonna shoot it, and then you can then you can like commit to covering one half. Um, I don't recommend using the turret like that, but you can. It's an option. And then grenades on this map, you basically have to save them for the mid fight because they're just really important for actually breaking apart the mid fight, right? So if I do that, it's a little hard too because you either gotta bounce it off the wall or get it to roll far enough. Uh, the mid fight on here, like I said, is not the greatest, but oh well. Um, if you find yourself on the low ground for whatever reason, your one and only goal should be to get back to the high ground. These bars are surprisingly big. Like, did you see that hit? Like that. That you can see how bad that is, right? Let's see from here. It's kind of bad too. Yikes. The railings obviously make it almost impossible to low ground on this map. They don't look that bad. Even what I just showed you doesn't look that bad, but trust me, they're really bad in game. Um, so yeah, that's a thing you got to deal with. And then trying to think of more things you might occasionally see pop up. That's mostly it. Maybe some more weapon specific strategies. With the Thunderbolt, you don't actually have to like, you know, approach. You can kind of, especially if the door is open, you can force the door open and then maybe like kind of fight them, right? Depends on whether you're up or down because then they can just hide from you. And it's like, what you gonna do? So then you'll push. You'll have to push sometimes if you're down. But if you're not, then you can kind of just challenge them and it's not much they can do. Um, the mid-range ability of the Ember Strike is nothing to scoff at. It can really effectively kind of cover this area, or like kind of an area here. It's a little bit worse when it comes to these open areas because of how slow it is, but you know, yeah. I guess you can also occasionally like just kind of quickly back up and like throw a poke out sometimes. Then I think generally Sonic, I know Sonic likes to have this door open so he can kind of spam a little better. Because well, that's what the Echo does. Um, I do get that, but personally, I think you're fine here if you're playing the Echo. But you know, it's definitely better to have if you're trying to go with a door strat. It's definitely better to use a faster weapon. Um, Titan. If you're like the defender and you kind of know that the opponent's going to come from one of these directions, you can start holding and right before they come past, and then kill them before they like can even really react. You know, so they're like walking here and then your stream starts, then they just die. It does take a bit of skill, and it's really you're gonna trade very often when doing that. Which is why this gun's so good at trading. Especially on higher pings, against higher ping opponents, it's really good at trading against them. Um, and then the Sky Blaze kind of has both the ability to kind of cover this. You can definitely make it a 50-50 instead of you know, a 1 in 3, right? I was kind of going between 1 and 3 positions here, 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 so it's good at kind of forcing your opponent to like not be here. Especially the Ember Strike's really good at that. And I think that's most of what I need to cover. Roto Fury, it also kind of has the advantage of like the Sky Blaze as well, because or the Thunderbow, because it's just it just has a fast bullet speed as you can see. And then yeah, Roto Fury as well has kind of those advantages, but I think to a lesser extent, but it's still really good. Yeah, I think that's most of what there is to say. Um, I think that's most of what I can give about base. So, yeah, I hope you like this guide. All right, bye.